champ now.
Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, champ?
I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right what you just said.
What do you mean? What I just said?
I mean, I'm gonna get a drink of water. I'm late getting home with you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, during one time during my career, I went on a Bomber 1 tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
Where you go?
What's happening, my people? It's Cash Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. Now, as usual, before we get started, let me give a shout out to the JBT community. It's just boxing talk. We're a group of people who just love to talk boxing. And we're always looking for others to join us. And you don't have to be a content creator. The only requirement is you just have to love to talk boxing. That's all. Miss Cass, hashtag JBT. Mike Mazik, Al Burger, Tim Layton, hashtag JBT. Justin James, hashtag JBT. Salute, Justin. Salute to everyone. And welcome to another episode of Cash Sports, the Box Historian. Today, Tyson, Liston, and Johnson, dominance and controversy. And you know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Box Historian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. How's everyone today? This is the Hump Day edition of Cash Sports, the Box Historian, all downhill from here. Salute to Justin James. Good to see Justin today. How are you, Justin? Very good to see you, my brother. Yeah, today we're going to talk about Tyson, Liston, and Johnson. Dominance and controversy. Had a lot in common, right? All three great heavyweight champions. All three had controversy surrounding them. All three had legal problems outside the ring, but we're going to talk about it today. As we get into the show, we got an article about Tyson. Why did he get rid of Kevin Rooney? That was the worst move he ever made in his career. Once he made that move. And then, who lived a harder life? Sonny Liston or Jack Johnson? We're going to discuss that. But in the highlights of boxing history today, I got a good one for you. We're going to talk about 10 boxers that excelled at the amateur level, won gold at the amateur level in the Olympics, and went on to become world champions. Because every fighter doesn't do that. You know, some fighters excel in the amateurs and then they kind of like don't do too good at the professional level. Then some fighters are not good amateurs and turn into great world champions at the highest level. But today we're going to talk about 10 fighters that excelled at both levels, okay? All Olympic gold medalists and all world champions, not just heavyweights, okay? We got 10 of them for you today. But yeah, I couldn't find a picture of Jack to put in there with him. But I got on Mike and Sonny up there. So we're going to be have some pictures of Jack when we get into the show. But let's get into the highlights of boxing history. Our little segment that take us to 2:30. Say hi to the studio audience. Yeah, there are two legends, Justin. And so is Jack Johnson, too. I was reading something this morning. This guy was talking about how Don King and the Godfather is outliving all of those heavyweights from the golden era in the 70s. The way they're going to outlive some of these fighters in the current era. You know, both of them 93 years young. Bob Arum will be 94 in August, and the Godfather will be 94 in December. Crazy. Still promoting too. Both of them. Okay, let's get into the highlights of boxing history. 10 fighters that excelled at the amateur level and at the professional level. Okay? Because everybody doesn't do that. And some guys just tear it up in the amateurs and then they get to the highest level and never won a world championship. There's some guys just terrible at the amateur level, but then become great professional champions. That's one of those things. But these 10 excelled at both levels, okay? We're going to talk about them right now. Some lights, camera, action. Okay, now, with the 2024 Paris Olympics crowning the next generation of boxers as champions, taking home gold medals. Now let's turn back time and take a look into the past at some of the best boxers who ever laced up the gloves. These fighters all have something in common. Amateur success at the highest level, followed by professional success that will live forever in history. These men have proven all their fans right and doubters wrong, having their work and skill translate across multiple levels of different styles of the same sport. Okay, let's take a look at them. Okay, we're gonna go from 10 to 1. first we have Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker. That's Pernell with the headgear on. He got gold in 84 on that great team. And you know, the 84 team, they had the night of gold at Madison Square Garden. 6 of the guys that medaled in that Olympics had their debut fight on the same card at Madison Square Garden late at 1984. They called it Night of Gold. Can't remember all of them. I know it was, they all didn't win gold. I know Sweet Pea, Holyfield, Tyrell Biggs, Meldrick Taylor, Mark Breland, and Steve McCrory. I got all 6 of them. I'm a bad man. It just came to me. Okay. Yeah, Sweet Pea got gold at the Olympics. And of course, we all know what he did at the professional level, right? Okay. Now, Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker is often forgotten as an all-time great. You know, he left the world early and everything. If he was still around, seeing him at events and fights and stuff, you know, he would be more well remembered. But he is in the Hall of Fame and everything. But we just don't see him around like we see all these other guys, Sugar Ray, Hearn, Spinks, you know, Oscar. But yeah, he got gold at the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles. Ended his career with 40 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 17 knockouts for Sweet Pea. Now, Whitaker dominated the lightweight division at the iconic 1984 games in Los Angeles. Using his slick defensive skills and crazy quick hand speed, he was a clear future star as he turned professional shortly after the Olympics. Sweet Pea then went on to have become one of the best defensive boxers of all time, being a 4-weight world champion and still holding the record for most unified title defenses in the lightweight history with 6. He still holds that record. Lightweight unified title defense at 6. Next, Lennox the Lion Lewis. Tried to catch most of these pictures at amateur. That's Lennox on the right. In the white there on the right. Okay, Lennox the Lion. Now, he was one of the few gold medalists to come from Canada. Canada don't have many in boxing. And he's a Canadian boxing legend. But after his amateur career, he went back to Great Britain. Great Britain did not accept him warmly neither. They told him first go back to Canada. That's where you wanted to be at. But he got the gold medal at the 1988 Seoul Olympics after falling short. He was in the 84 Olympics too, but he fell short. He didn't get the gold, so he put his professional career on hold for 4 years so he could attempt again in 88, and he was successful in 88, Seoul, South Korea. Professional record, 41 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 32 knockouts. Okay, for Lennox the Lion. Has some pop now, right? 78% knockout rate for the Lion. Now, after a narrow loss to gold medalist Tyrell Biggs at the 1984 games, Lewis bounced back as he dominated his way to a gold medal in the 88 games in Seoul, South Korea in the super heavyweight division. Now, as a professional, Lewis went on to be the first Olympic super heavyweight gold medalist to go on to win a heavyweight world title. He's a 2-time lineal heavyweight champion and held the undisputed championship at one point in his career. Yeah, these just little short things. I ain't trying to bore y'all too much. Next is Michael Spinks on that great 1976 team. Had that Spinks jinx. Look at Don King right behind him. There could be a million people in the ring, but you can always pick Don King out. Look like he just got up out the bed. Now, Michael Spinks is another overlooked boxing legend, similar to Sweet Pea, right? He don't get the credit he deserves. Now, Spinks got the gold medal in 1976 in Montreal, Canada, right? Finished his career with 31 wins, just one loss, 21 knockouts. That last loss to Mike Tyson, remember? In the 91 second fight? And that was his only loss, and he gave it up after that. Now, Spinks had a smooth run in the 76 Olympic Games with a bye and 2 wins by walkover, meaning he was only required to box 2 different opponents on his way to a middleweight gold medal. Yeah, he got a nice run. Had a bye. You had 5 fights, right? And he got a bye and 2 walkover wins. You know, the other fighter didn't even, nobody showed up. He only had to fight twice, but he got the gold. Okay? Probably would have got it anyway. Now, after that gold medal, Spinks took a hiatus from boxing because no major promotions were contacting him. And it's him and his brother Leon. And that was strange because you win the gold medal, the promoters usually all over you. So that was really weird. And Leon was a massive star and a major staple of ABC Sports on his way to a huge fight with Muhammad Ali, right? And Spinks went on. Leon had to fight with Muhammad and beat Muhammad with just 7 fights, remember? But Michael went on to win an undisputed light heavyweight title, and then won as a massive underdog against 48-0 Larry Holmes at heavyweight. He suffered his only loss at the professional level at the hands of the great Mike Tyson, Michael Spinks. Okay, next, Alexander Usyk, Olympic gold medalist and world champion. Alexander Usyk, there he is. Alexander Usyk is the modern day pound for pound great. Usyk won gold at the 2012 London Olympics. He's currently, what is he, 22-0 with 14 knockouts? Something like that. It might be 23. But yeah, he's undefeated. Now, Usyk ended his amateur boxing career with an unreal 335 wins and 15 loss record, capping it off with a win over his rival, Clemente Russo, in the 2012 London Games, right? As a professional, Usyk went on to be the undisputed cruiserweight champion, and in 2024, he became the first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis, and the first in the 4-belt era, right? His movement and fight IQ is second to none in the heavyweight division, making him the world's pound-for-pound best fighter in 2024. Yeah, he got Fighter of the Year too. I figured he would. And Raymond Ford and some guy got Fighter of the Year. They wasn't even on my radar. Next, Smoking Joe Frazier. Smoking Joe Frazier. There he is on the left. I don't even look like Smoking Joe, does it? And you, Smoking Joe was amazing. He was Olympic champion before his professional immortality, right? And Smoking Joe won gold at the 1964 Tokyo Olympics. 32 wins, 4 losses, 27 knockouts. Part of that back-to-back. Muhammad Ali in 60, Smoking Joe in 64, Big George in 68. And they all fought against each other at the top level. Incredible knockout rate for Smoking Joe, too. 84% knockout ratio for his career. Now, Frazier came up short at the Olympic trials prior to the 64 Tokyo Games, strongly considering giving up boxing because after he lost the Olympic trials, the runner-up in the Olympic trials is always the alternate, and they get to travel with the team. But Smoking Joe was so down over losing that fight, he wasn't going to go, and his manager talked him into going. And guess what? The winner of the Olympic trials got hurt, and Joe actually ended up participating in the Olympics. He was thinking about not even going, right? And he had the right to go because he was the runner-up in the Olympic trials. So it's a good thing he went. Now, he came up short at the Olympic trials prior to the 64 Games and he strongly considered giving up boxing. He was convinced to make the trip across the globe as an alternate by his manager, later being named as a U.S. heavyweight representative after Buster Masters went down with an injury. You know, Buster was the one to beat Joe in the finals at the Olympic trials. Joe went on to win a gold medal in dramatic fashion, battling a broken thumb. The legend of Smoking Joe Frazier only began there in Japan. The rest of his career is history, beating Muhammad Ali in what is coined the fight of the century, and being an undisputed champion, defending against some of the greats is only a fraction of his accomplishments. And I told y'all about Joe. He broke his thumb on his left hook hand in the semifinal match in the Olympics. And he didn't tell anybody because he knew they would have pulled him out of the gold medal match. So he went in the gold medal match with a broken thumb on his left hook hand, right? And still won. And the legend just started there, right? Next, just a couple more. Big George, Olympic gold, great heavyweight champion. Big George Foreman. He achieved greatness with little experience. 18 years old, going up against a 30-year-old Russian. George had like 21 amateur fights. The Russian had over 300. That's who George went up against in the final. And George walked out of there with the gold medal. After starting boxing in his late teens and only having about 20 amateur fights, Foreman went into Mexico City to chase greatness. He went on to defeat the Soviet Union's Jonas Kapoulis, who was 12 years older than Foreman, with over 200 amateur fights in the gold medal match, making Foreman an American hero instantly in the boxing, in the heart of the Cold War, right? And as a professional, Foreman was a two-time heavyweight world champion with over 80 fights under his belt. Then went on to make a fortune with his famous George Foreman grill. Legendary stuff for Big G. Next is Lomachenko. Yeah, I know he was 40 years old when the amateur was fighting teenagers. Yeah. Not quite 40. 20-something. Okay. What's up, Lomachenko? Let's talk about Lomachenko. Okay. The first two-time gold medalist on this list. Okay. Loma is 18-3 currently with 12 knockouts. What is he, the IBF lightweight champion? I think it's IBF. Now, he had two golds, 2008 in Beijing, China, and 2012 in London. Okay. Now, as a cornerstone of the legendary Ukrainian Olympic boxing teams of 2008 and 2012, Lomachenko dazzled with his athleticism and dominant victories. He should have been at the professional level for like 10 years by then. But hey, you can't, don't knock the hustle. The man still got 2 gold medals, okay? Now, in the 2008 games, Lomachenko outscored his 5 opponents 58-13, okay? An unprecedented 45-point margin. He finished his amateur career with a record of 396 wins and just 1 loss. He has been named the all-time best amateur boxer by several publications, and the all-time oldest amateur boxer too, probably. Now, Lomachenko then turned pro shortly after the London Games, fighting for his first world title in only his second fight, winning his first world title in his third fight. Now, where they do that at? The man get a title shot in his second fight, lost that one, then they give him another title shot in his third fight. What about all the guys who've been fighting in that division for years when he was 20 years old, 30 years old fighting in the amateur? That's ridiculous, man. You hear that? He got a shot in his second fight and lost it. Then give him another shot in his third fight. Come on, man. That's ridiculous. That turns people against Lomachenko, that type of favoritism. It ain't his fault because, he just taking advantage of what they did for him. His grandfather, the Bob father. But anyway, he won the world title in his third fight after losing it in his second fight. In 2024, Lomachenko is still at the top of the 2025. He's still at the top of the lightweight division. and still competing for world titles. I think he has the IBF, right? Oscar, the golden boy. He promised his mother a gold medal. His mother passed away before the Olympics, and the golden boy went over and got that gold medal. Oscar was a lifelong star, okay? He got gold at the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, Spain. Finished his career 39 wins, 6 losses, 30 knockouts for Oscar. Yeah, Oscar had pop too. I don't know why I always gotta check these knockout rates. I gotta stop wasting time. 76.9. Oscar didn't know anything but dominance, even as a teenager. He won every major tournament en route to his 1992 gold medal and a 2008 U.S. Boxing Hall of Fame induction. First ballot. As a pro, Oscar became a superstar and the original pay-per-view star of the sport, generating over $700 million in pay-per-view income. He won an astonishing 11 world titles across 6 weight classes, including lineal titles in 3 weight classes. Just got 2 more. Sugar Ray Leonard. There's Sugar Ray. Sugar Ray won gold, of course, in 1976 in Montreal. He was the biggest lower weight star in boxing. Sugar Ray finished his career 36 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, 25 knockouts. Don't have to worry about checking on knockout rate there. Now, Leonard was the leader of what many considered the best U.S. Olympic boxing team ever assembled. And he won his gold medal with 6 straight 5-0 decisions. They was harping about Loma's 48 to something 13 win over his opponents. Sugar Ray didn't lose any points. 5-0 in every fight. Never lost a round. Nobody even scored any points on him throughout the entire 5 fights, okay? 6 straight 5-0 decisions. He famously announced, "I'm finished. I fought my last fight. Now I want to go to school." This was most likely because of the hard times he went through on the Olympic team. He adjusted his career path and went on to be part of the 4 Kings, a group of lower weight fighters who carried the sport of boxing and its relevancy after the era of Muhammad Ali. Leonard was a 6-division world champion and lineal champion in 3 divisions, including the welterweight undisputed champion, okay? Had 2 belts. And finally, Muhammad Ali, okay? Rome 1960. Then we're going to get to the show. Rome 1960, Muhammad Ali. Now, Cassius Clay is the most important boxer of all time. Cassius Clay when he won the gold. Finished 56 wins, 5 losses, 37 knockouts as a pro. Now, before becoming the world famous Muhammad Ali and changing the sport of boxing and world culture forever, he was Cassius Clay, an impressive teenage athlete in the boxing ring. He went on to win the 1960 games in dominant fashion, finishing his amateur career with a record of 100 wins and 5 losses. As a pro, everybody knows the impact that Clay had. Being nicknamed the greatest doesn't work for anybody else. He was a multiple-time unified heavyweight champion and was named Sportsman of the Century by Sports Illustrated in 1999. Muhammad Ali. Anybody missed that thing we had on him yesterday? That was all right. Now I had this thing. The guy Funko Die asked me about. Funko Die, and I don't even know whether it's a he or she, Funko Die, but they ain't even in here. So let's start the show. We'll come back to it because I did the 50 most significant figures in boxing Monday, and he asked me, did I mention this guy's name, George Cornistus? And I said, I didn't even know who he was, but I went to research him and got a little write-up on him. So if Funko Die comes in, that's brought to us by him, we'll go over that. Okay? But he was the guy was a promoter, big-time promoter, mainly in California, and he focused on the lower weight classes when all the other promoters were going crazy over the heavyweights, right? Yeah. And he's a legendary promoter. We're going to get to him before the show's over. But let's get to Mike Tyson first. Okay. We're going to talk about Mike and Kevin Rooney and Don King came into it, you know, and ruined everything. I think him and Robin Gibbons was working together against Mike. You know? Yeah, them. Those two are the worst thing. Look how she looking at Don King like a lizard or something. Worst two things that ever happened to Mike. And that's part of the best things right here, Kevin Rooney. He was assigned by Customata to be Mike's trainer, right? And Kevin knew Mike better than anybody, you know. Cus was like the father figure mentor, but Kevin Rooney did the actual training. He knew Mike better than anybody. And let's talk about it. Okay. So why did Mike Tyson get rid of Kevin Rooney? Glad you asked. Okay. Well, that vent finally went off. I've been having a problem with the heat. The vent wasn't going off, and it was one right over top of it. It finally went off. I didn't even notice. Couldn't hear the music or anything. It's off. I ain't got no money. Okay, let's go with today's show. First, we're going to talk about Mike. And why did he fire Kevin Rooney? That was the worst move he ever made in his life. You know? That's when they came in. Look how she looking at Don King. Like he's mine. Get away from him, Don. Okay, why did Tyson fire Kevin Rooney? That was a very bad move he made. Now, Mike got rid of not just Kevin Rooney, but every single one of his original team by firing them. And yes, Mike came to regret that. Majorly. Is that a word, majorly? But he came to regret it. Okay? Big time. Now, Mike, with his original team, before he fired Kevin Rooney and the rest of them, and then he began his career with Kevin Rooney and his team with an amazing 19 straight knockouts, right? 12 of which came in the first round. Now, Teddy Atlas had said a boxer must have 3 things in order to punch with authority, saying Mike had the hat trick of hands, right? There are 3 things a boxer must want as a puncher. And Mike had all 3 of them. He had a combination of quickness, speed, and power, which is not common in a fighter. Quickness, speed, and power. Now, Atlas emphasized, because Teddy was working with Mike too at first, right? He came up under Cus, but then, you know, the situation, Mike was supposed to have patted his daughter on the butt, and then Teddy ran down on Mike with a pistol. Smart move. If I ever ran down on Mike Tyson, it would be with a pistol too. They sure ain't gonna be with my hand. So that was a smart move by Teddy, you know. But then Cus got rid of Teddy because, you know, come down to Mike or Teddy, you know, do the math. Who's gonna go? You know, Mike was the money tree. So yeah, Teddy went. And I think that was like the early 80s. They didn't speak again until like 2017. I heard Teddy Atlas talking about that on his podcast. Like over 30 years, they didn't speak to each other. They saw each other at boxing events, like Hall of Fame things and stuff like fights, but they, from early 80s to like 2017, they never spoke. But they reconciled, yeah, which was good. Now, Teddy emphasized what set Mike apart during his days with his original team, which Teddy was a part of it. It was his speed and ability to deliver power shots from both sides in abundance, right? Teddy said he hit hard, fast, and often. And that was the key to Mike. He did not have the hardest one shot, one punch, one shot. But he had the ability to hit mighty hard, mighty fast, mighty often, okay? As Kevin Rooney said about Mike, speed kills. And Mike had speed, effing unbelievable speed. Peter McNeely, who he fought, said, I don't care what fighter you are. Any fighter over 200 pounds can punch. But with Mike, the power and their speed, deadly combination. Now, Kevin Rooney, who worked with Tyson from the start of his career up until the Spinks fight, that was his last fight, the Spinks fight, describes the 1985-1988 Tyson better than anyone else. Tyson was trained to be and was a volume combination boxer puncher. That's what Rooney said about it. He punched fast and hard. That's a difficult combination to deal with, fast and hard, especially when those fast punches come in bunches, in good, solid combinations. Lou Savarese said, the thing about Mike that's amazing is there are guys that are strong and there are guys that are fast. Mike is strong and fast. It's so deceiving how quick he is. That's what makes him so different. You don't realize how quick he is until you get in there with him, and that's too late. Now, Kevin Rooney himself has been very candid about what happened with Mike and the differences before and after. This is before Cuss D'Amato's team and after Cuss D'Amato's team. Okay? While he worked with Mike from the start of his career up to the Spinks fight, Tyson was trained to be and was a volume combination boxer puncher. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Now, Rooney goes on to talk about Mike's defense in those early days, saying, now, he had good defense too. He was elusive. The best thing about it was these guys could not hit him. When you can't hit somebody, that becomes very frustrating. I'm trying to hit you. You're moving your head, and I can't hit you. And I'm like, what the hell? That's what happened a lot in a lot of Mike's fights. They couldn't hit him. So how different was Mike with Rooney and after Rooney? Okay, make some comparisons. Hall of Fame trainer Eddie Futch assessed the before and after Rooney with Tyson bluntly. Under Cuss and Rooney, Tyson was well conditioned and ready to go all night. Lots of gas, great combinations, great defense. Under that parade of clowns Don King brought in, well, no defense, no conditioning, no combinations. If the knockouts doesn't come by 6, Mike's out of gas. Tyrone Biggs said it best about how good Mike Tyson was at his best before Gibbons and Don King came along. On October 7th, 1987, Biggs was destroyed by Mike Tyson and later said, I think that night he would have beat Holyfield, knocked out Lewis. He would have beat anybody that night. I think he had been a handful for anybody in history on that night. Now, differences in peak 85-88 Tyson with Rooney and Mike after firing Rooney. Okay, here go the comparisons. Now, with his original team with Rooney fighting in the tight defense style, Mike was undefeated at 35-0, okay? After Robin Gibbons and Don King abandoning tight defense, Mike went 15-6. With his original team, Mike had a 100% winning percentage with his original team and style. When Robert Gibbons and Don King came along, his percentage dropped to 71%, okay? With his original team, Rooney Cuss's team, Mike had 31 knockouts in 35 fights. and 89% knockout ratio. Okay? After Givens and Don King came along, Mike had 13 knockouts in 21 fights for a 62% knockout ratio. Excuse me, okay? With the Cuss team, Mike had 16 stoppages in the first round, okay? An astonishing 46% of his fights didn't last one round, okay? Almost 50%. Okay? After Don King and Robin Givens came along, Mike had 7 first-round stoppages. And that was a 33% clip. Okay? With his original team, with Cuss and Rooney, Mike was never stopped in 35 fights. With Givens and Don King, Mike was stopped 5 times in 21 fights. Okay? See the difference? With his original team, 0% of Mike's fights ended with him being stopped. 0% of his fights ended with him being stopped. With Don King and Robin Givens, 23.8%, almost a quarter of his fights ended up with him being stopped. To say Mike was anywhere near the fighter after he left his original team and style would be the understatement of the century. Okay? Don King, Robin Givens, and party 24/7, 365 with no more Rooney. When Don King and Robin Givens when they weaseled their way into Mike Tyson's life, his time as a generationally great boxer was over. When Don King and Robin Givens came along, his time as a generationally great boxer was at an end. Okay, let me see who came in. Nobody. Okay, let's move along. Lights looking great, I guess. Okay, let's move along. Yeah, after Don King and Robin Givens came along, he wasn't a generational great boxer anymore. It was over for him. Okay? The first thing they did was try to convince Mike to get rid of his original team. They came in the door telling him to get rid of his team, right? So Mike should have knew something was up then. And ultimately, it was all gone. He went with their wishes. He got rid of them, all of them, right? Now Rooney said, we'd go to a health club at night, then we'd go to bed. When he was with me, there was no partying. There was no, well, I worked hard, I'm gonna go have a few drinks and try to pick up a girl. That never happened. Hey, Mike, guess what? We got a title to defend, and you got to be in the top. You got to be in top shape. So what, Mike Tyson? If we didn't cross channels and go with Don King, he would have gone down as the greatest heavyweight in history. One of them, right? Now, Bleacher Report summed up Don King and his role in what happened to Mike. Okay. Excuse me for a minute. 1 minute. I don't need this light putting a glare on my equipment. There we go. That's much better. Okay, that's much better. You can see too clearly. The light was, there we go. Oh yes, much better. Okay. Now, Bleacher Report summed up Don King and his role in what happened to Mike. King was a villainous man charged with killing 2 individuals in separate incidents, 13 years apart. He utilized Mike Tyson for his own profits without caring for his fighter or considering his well-being, and he is the main culprit responsible for Iron Mike's poisonous demise. Oh, that is much better. And Robin Givens? Bill Caton, one of Tyson's managers under Cuss, described what her influence was over Mike. Bill Caton was part of the Cuss D'Amato Kevin Rooney team that got fired. Caton said about Robin Givens, Mike was taken to the cleaners by a woman who never loved him, who saw in him an opportunity to become famous, which she did, to make a lot of money, which she did, and to use him, which she did. I should have had them up there. Here they go. I still can't get over how she looking at Don King. Look at that. Don better be careful. He lucky he lived to be 93 the way she looking at him. Like she wanted to get Dawn out the picture. She wanted Mike all to herself. But she don't know who she was going up against. Dawn still looking at her, Dawn just smiling. He already killed 2 people, Robin. Right? So I think Robin would have came out second in that one going head to head with Don King. Right? You see who stayed the longest? Dawn was around to the end. Robin was out of there. Right? So Bill Caton said Mike was taken to the cleaners by this woman. She came to make a lot of money, which she did, and to use him, which she did. Caton said, I don't think she ever loved him for 1 minute, but he fell for her. I've never seen anything like Robin. She got Mike to fire Steve Lott, who had been like a close brother to Mike, but she decided she wanted to be rid of him. So Steve had to go. Between Robin Givens and Don King, they cleaned out Mike's life of anyone who had worked with him on the way up and had his best interests at heart, right? And who insisted to, all the people that insisted to Mike that life at the top took a lot of work and sacrifice, right? King and Givens didn't believe in that. All they believed in was get them fights and bring them the money. King and Givens changed literally everything about Mike. Instead of working hard every day, sparring, running, watching film, Mike changed to drugs, drinking, and partying. And his boxing style changed with his lifestyle, okay? Right, when his lifestyle changed, of course his boxing style changed. Mike's weight, heretofore stable between fights with year-round training with Kevin Rooney, after Don King got rid of Rooney, he began to balloon up to 300 pounds in between fights, where he used to walk around at that optimal weight, where you go into camp and just the process of training for the fight get you down to weight. Now he spends a lot of time at camp getting on weight, but he didn't do that with Kevin Rooney. Just the natural process of training got the weight off because he was at that optimal weight, right? But after Rooney left, he was ballooning up to 300 pounds between fights. Mike was big as a house. Damn. Now, Mike was born a great fighter. And he turned into a very good heavyweight. And he did it himself with helpful advice that didn't come from people like Don King and Robin Givens, right? The only kind of advice, the first helpful advice that Don King and Robin Givens both gave Mike Tyson was to fire Kevin Rooney, okay? But sadly, in the end, it appears Tyson was still hesitating when Rooney gave a fateful interview. The icing on the cake for Rooney was his speaking about Givens on television. Ironically, what led directly to Rooney's firing may have been his saying something nice about Givens on television. In an interview after the Spinks fight, it was his last fight with Mike, interview after the Spinks fight, Kevin Rooney was asked about Tyson's tumultuous personal life. And Rooney answered by saying, Robin and her mother seemed like nice people, but Mike was divorcing Gibbons and took commenting on her at all a personal betrayal. So Tyson told the New York Post on December 8th, 1988, that he was firing Rooney for comments Rooney made about the champion's personal life. But Don King was all in his ear too, you know. Afterwards, when Mike began training for his next fight without Kevin Rooney, Rooney sued Tyson, asking for $49 million in earnings. Wow. Trainers make that much? Damn. 49 million. Well, that was over a number of fights, I guess. I don't know. But he sued Mike for $49 million after Mike fired him. I don't know whatever became of that case. Now, Tyson subsequently testified in court that he fired Rooney after the trainer's comments about Tyson's wife, Gibbons, during a television interview. Mike said, "I thought he betrayed me by calling Robin Gibbons nice," because Mike was divorcing her at the time, right? He thought that was a betrayal because he called her nice. Despite that, Tyson said he considered rehiring Rooney and that Rooney was like a brother to me. Even right now, I'm not mad at Kevin. But although Mike ultimately settled the lawsuit, it left a permanent wedge between him and Kevin Rooney. Yeah, Don King was going to make sure he didn't hire Kevin back. Now, Mike looks longingly back at his days with Kevin Rooney. Mike himself talks about life with and without his team, saying, yeah, he know he did wrong. Talks about life with and without the Customato team, right? Okay, lost my place. Saying, I would have the life Cuss told me I would have if I would stay with my original team, right? And because for a while, he added, I did have that life, right? When it was with that team. Now, Mike was asked in an interview with the Washington Post to look back. And he said, there's a lot of things I wish I could have done differently. The reporter asked if one of those things was firing Kevin Rooney. Would he have done that differently? Tyson said, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I would still be champion today. Mike Tyson. Okay, let's talk about that was the biggest mistake he ever made in his life. And he's sorry for it. Yeah. He looked back now and very sorry for getting rid of Kevin Rooney and the Customato team. Yeah. He regrets that big time. He said I would still be champion. Now, next is did Funko Die come in? Nope. But we're gonna talk about his man. Crest the Legend came in. What's up, Crest? I missed a lot of people. I'm sorry. Damn. Wow. Okay, let's start there. Mike Rim in the building. What's up, Mike Rim? Then we got Al Booger been in the building. Cannabis Education and Entertainment TV in the building. What's up, Cannabis Education and Entertainment TV? And you cannot find a better person to get a cannabis education than Cannabis Education and Entertainment TV. Trust me. Okay? But salute Cannabis Education and Entertainment TV in the building. I'm going to abbreviate that. Cannabis Education and Entertainment TV. Okay, then we got BVO Boxing TV in the building. What's up, BVO? From the Sports Talk Network. The STN. Okay. BVO, that thing getting big fast too, man. Damn. Oh no. Crush the Legend in the building. What's up, Crush the Legend? Salute. That's the realest man I know. Crush the Legend. Tells it like it T.I. Tiz. Every day. Salute, Crush. How you doing this afternoon, my brother? Anybody? The Boxing Menu Podcast Plus in the building. What's up, the Boxing Menu Podcast Plus? Sorry I missed y'all when y'all came in, but I was reading that article about Mike Tyson. Now we got one on who had the harder life, Sonny Liston or Jack Johnson? Very interesting. Boxing Menu Podcast Plus. Salute. And I think that's it that came in. Okay, let's move on to yeah, that was it, Crush. Oh, the legendary Tom Vasilla in the building. Yeah, when he did that. And them two snakes on the screen there, Don King and Robin Gibbons. It was over for him. Look how she looking at Don King. But like I said, she didn't want to mess with Don King. Don already killed 2 people. And you see who was around longer. After Robin left, Don was still around, remember? So yeah, if I had to pick sides in that battle, I'm picking Don King over Robin Gibbons. 7 days a week and twice on Sunday, right? Okay, I got everybody. Salute to everybody in the building. Let's move to Sonny Liston and Jack Johnson. But first, we at it again, y'all. We are at it again. Check this out. Check that out.
It again, that's right. We're doing another 50-50 raffle. Yes, indeed. Someone is going to be able to walk away with the Easter basket. That's right. We're doing the drawing on Easter morning. Yes, indeed. And some lucky person is going to be able to get that bag. How do you get that bag? You send $10 to Cash App, JBT Network 1. Bam, and you in. Now, we still got the block special. That's right, 3 for $25. You know how you like that block special, man. Yes, indeed. It will increase your odds, just like our last winner, C. Wood, that won like $700, I don't know, some odd dollars, man. But listen here, man, we appreciate you at the JBT. We're looking forward to this new 50-50, and we're looking forward to see who is going to win the Easter basket. Again, send $10 to Cash App, JBT Network 1.
Yeah, damn, when is Easter? I didn't know Easter was that close. They always keep changing it, you know? I mean, damn. I ain't got no little kids. I got grandkids, but their parents buy them Easter baskets and stuff. They ain't my children, they grandkids. That's your mommies and daddies Easter basket and stuff. I ain't got no money. Okay, yeah, we're gonna talk about Jack Johnson and Sonny. Who had the harder life between those two? Like I said, Mike, Sonny, and Jack, very a lot in common. You know, all heavyweight champions, all were surrounded in controversy throughout their careers, and all 3 had legal problems outside the ring, right? Sonny went to prison. Jack had to flee to Europe to get away from the boys. And Mike went to prison too, remember? Yeah. Jack, I don't think he actually went to prison, but he did come back and faced up to it. And he did go to Leavenworth. Jack went to prison too. He sure did. He did some time in Leavenworth. So all 3 ended up in prison. A lot in common. Let's talk about Sonny and Jack. But actually, who had the harder life? Jack Johnson or Sonny Liston? In time permitting, we're going to talk about, I got something on that, the Mike Tyson case, the rape case. Going deep on that, the trial and everything and how they railroaded. He had terrible lawyers, man. I could have been his lawyer, probably would have done better than that, man. They put him on the stand in front of the grand jury. Now they know that was a mistake, putting Mike up there on the witness stand, man. Come on. And of course they came back and indicted him. that did it right there. You know, no, man. Okay, who had the harder life, Jack Johnson or Sonny? Let's see. Now, even though Jack Johnson was only 1 generation removed from slavery, even though he had a hard life, His life was nowhere near as hard as Sonny Liston's was. You know, when Sonny was a little boy, the mule was pulling the plow, and the mule died. I think Sonny was 13. His father strapped the plow to Sonny and made him pull it, right? So I don't know about that one. Me and Dad might have had a problem there. Yeah, he made Sonny pull the plow, man, in place of the mule, and beat him because he said he didn't pull it hard enough. So yeah, Sonny probably had a little bit harder life than Jack. But let's talk about it. Now everyone knows Jack Johnson, the first melanated heavyweight champion, was pursued by the U.S. government and harassed mercilessly for his defiance of white norms. Yeah, they didn't want him to be heavyweight champion, and he flaunted it, man. You know, he'd be in the ring beating up the guy, talking to the audience and everything, man. Yeah, they already hated it because of his color, and then he just flaunted it, man, you know? Like, yeah, your boy ain't gonna beat me. Well, one of y'all get in here saying stuff like that to the crowd, right? But, you know, just taunting the audience, man. I can imagine what he was saying to him. But they invented some kind of charges against him, right? He had to flee to Europe. But he did come back, ended up going to Leavenworth. But Charles Sonny Liston had a far worse life than Jack Johnson. Okay, so that answers that question right off the bat. Who had the harder life? Sonny Liston, of course. Okay. Just Do Boxing in the building. What's up, Just Do? Coming up at 4 p.m. Balanced, unbiased boxing talk. Okay? You hear both sides of the story and you hear it right. Everybody gets their Just Do at Just Do Boxing. Coming up at 4 p.m. today. Today, right after me. That's who I'm warming you up for. Yeah. I can see. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Sonny had the much harder life than Jack. Let's talk about it. Okay. Now, Sonny, he was the 14th undisputed heavyweight boxing champion in the modern sanctioning era, right? He came from literally nothing, beaten and abused as a child, right? He was constantly harassed by the police and died in a mystery no one has solved to this day. They still don't know what happened in that room, right? In his apartment that day that he died. Now, the one thing Jack Johnson and Sonny had in common was the establishment and government hated both of them. They had a few things, actually, you know. But one big thing was the establishment and the government hated both men, okay? Now, both men threatened the status quo. Now, for Johnson, for Johnson, his primary sin was his love of Caucasian women, right? Federal prosecutors argued that Johnson committed a crime against nature for engaging in sexual intercourse with a Caucasian woman, right? The fact that he married the woman only a few months after he was arrested made no difference. He was convicted and sentenced to a year in prison. Wow. Sentenced to a year in prison. Johnson was also seen in general as an uppity, melanated man and didn't know his place, right? Didn't know his place. Yeah, Jack didn't know his place. Now, this magazine called Unforgivable Blackness said about Jack Johnson. Johnson was everything that everything that a black man of his era was not supposed to be. This is the magazine talking, not me. Johnson was everything that a black man of his era was not supposed to be. Outspoken, articulate, intelligent, powerful, wealthy, good-looking, and charming. This made him a hero to most of Black America, but it also made him a dangerous enemy to much of Caucasian America. His mere presence threatened the notion that African Americans belonged to an inferior, subservient race. Okay? Ditto for Sonny in terms of being viewed as a threat. Okay? Yeah. The establishment viewed Sonny not for the same reason, but they viewed Sonny as a threat also, just like they viewed Jack. Right? Okay? What's going on in the chat here? Oh, you out, Justin? Okay. You have a good day. Good to see you again. Okay? Yeah, keep in touch. Salute to Justin James, everybody. Great guy. Justin James, hashtag JBT. Talk to you later, Justin. Okay, now where am I? Where was it? Oh, yeah, Sonny. Yes, Sonny was viewed also as a threat, right? But unlike Johnson, Sonny did not date Caucasian women. His paramount sin in the establishment's eyes was Johnson's secondary one. He disdained a role that made him inferior to anyone, right? Sonny didn't like that. Sonny said he wasn't inferior to nobody. Both the Caucasian and melanated establishments detested Sonny because he refused to be defined by either, right? By either race. Muhammad Ali said, Sonny Liston, that man danced to his own tune, and he didn't care to hop about to the man's music. Okay? Now, once Sonny, right after he won the heavyweight title in Washington, he was in Washington forbidden, but after he won the heavyweight title, he was taken to a party by his manager. And a party where the vice president of the United States was also at the party, right? Lyndon Johnson was vice president at that time. John Kennedy was president, right? So after Lyndon Johnson began nodding and moving in Sonny's direction, Sonny told his manager, these people hate us, but they're going to pretend to know us. What phonies? Let's blow this joint. Sonny said, I want to get out of there before Johnson get over to me. No, Sonny would not caper about for the man. The poet Amiri Baraka, then Leroy Jones, probably said it the best about Sonny. He said Sonny would not be a house N-word, and he wouldn't fetch and grin like Patterson, the way the civil rights people wanted him to. Sonny was Sonny, okay? Sonny was Sonny. Simple as that. So which of these outsiders had a harder life? Jack Johnson was born to parents who had been slaves, okay? Jack Johnson was actually direct descendant of slaves. His parents were slaves. Wow. Johnson was born on March 31st, 1878 to parents who were ex-slaves, the third child of 9, and the first son of Henry and Tina Johnson. His parents worked blue-collar jobs. His father was a janitor and his mother was a dishwasher. Johnson once said his father, despite a bad leg, was the most perfect physical specimen that I have ever seen in my life. Johnson fell in love with boxing and his life changed forever. Okay? Once he found boxing, his life changed forever. He was a natural. Johnson moved to New York City at the age of 16 and rented a room with Barbados Joe Walcott, a legendary fighter from the West Indies. Now, Johnson began his journey up the boxing ladder and into history from there. Now, the shameful way the public and the government treated Jack Johnson, right? The disgraceful misuse of the Mann Act to put Johnson in prison is well chronicled. To most historians like Ken Burns, right? Now, Ken Burns wrote, Jack Johnson is a symbol of the African-American struggle. So this is Ken Burns talking. This is what he wrote. Jack Johnson is a symbol of the African-American struggle to be both free and equal in the United States, a struggle that continues to this day. African Americans are still behind economically, socially, and politically. Unfortunately, Jack Johnson did not live a particularly happy life after losing the championship. He died from injuries in a car crash in 1946 after racing angrily from a diner that had refused him service. Naturally, the nearest hospitals only served Caucasians, so Johnson was refused medical help. He was taken almost 30 miles to the closest melanated hospital, right, where the melanated people went, which was in Raleigh, North Carolina. If they would have let him in the other one, he would have lived, where he was pronounced dead, okay? He was 68 years old and was buried next to his wife, Etta Duryea Johnson, who committed suicide in 1912. That had been his wish, and his wife at the time of his death, Irene Pignot, who had been married to Johnson for 21 years, honors his wishes. Yeah, he left a wife behind and he wanted to be buried by his first wife, okay? And, the wife left behind, she honored that wish. That was very nice of her. Now, Pignot has this to say when asked by a reporter at Johnson's funeral why she had loved him. None of your damn business. That's what I would have told him. I loved him because of his courage. The man did, and they still dogged him. Asked his wife why she loved him. She should have punched him right in the nose. I loved him because of his courage. He faced the world unafraid. There wasn't anybody or anyone he feared. Okay? But next to the horrible upbringing of Sonny Liston, Jack Johnson had a walk through the park. Yes, Sonny. I told you Sonny had to pull the plow when the mule died. And his father beat Sonny when he didn't pull it fast enough, but he didn't beat the mule. So he treated him worse than he treated the damn mule. Wow. But anyway, next to Sonny Liston, Jack Johnson had the life of Raleigh. Now, from the day he was born, whenever that was, because it's very questionable. Somebody said he was damn near 50 when he fought Ali the first time, right? Okay, from the day he was born, whenever that was, Sonny had an unbelievably cruel and bitter life. Okay? Charles Sonny Liston was born into a sharecropping family, the second youngest child in a combined family of 25 children who formed the rocky, poor-quality land of Moorledge Plantation near Johnson Township, St. Francis County in Arkansas. Sonny's sister would later say, Sonny was put to work on that bitter little farm before he was 3 years old, from sunup to sundown. Most days with little or no food, with a father who used to whip on him if he thought Sonny could work harder. 3 years old out there working on a farm from sunup to sundown. Yeah, Jack Johnson was like a walk in the park compared to this, right? Now, Sonny would say later, the only thing my old man ever gave me was a beating. That's all his father ever gave him was a beating. The relentlessly sadistic father's whippings left lifelong scars on Sonny. If he missed a day beating me, Sonny said, I'd feel like saying, how come you didn't whip me today? I had nothing when I was a kid but a lot of brothers and sisters, a helpless mother, and a father who didn't care about any of us. We grew up with few clothes, no shoes, and little to eat. My father worked me hard and whipped me harder. Sonny told Boxing Illustrated in 1964 about his life as a child. On the good days, I ate. On the bad days, I told my stomach to don't even think about it. Sonny reflected on his childhood later when speaking of prison. At least they fed us 3 squares a day. Johnny Taco, who trained Sonny, remembered the first time Sonny took off his shirt and he was staring at the horrible whip scars on Sonny's back that his father had put on there, right? When he was a little child. Them scars lasted all those years, man. That's how bad they was. And this trainer, Johnny Taco, asked him about him. And Sonny told the trainer, he just answered him simply, Me and my father had bad doings. Sonny also spoke of his father's relentless cruelty. Okay? He said, as far back as I can remember, no matter how little I was, no matter if I had anything to eat or not, my father expected me to work from sun up to sundown in those fields. After the mule died, this is what I'm talking about. After the mule died, I pulled the damn plow. And if I didn't pull it hard enough, he whipped me. And he didn't even whip the mule, though. That's me saying that part. Sonny said if he didn't pull hard enough, he whipped it, but he didn't whip the mule. That's crazy. Most days, he whipped me anyway, whether I pulled hard enough or not. If he didn't whip me, I would wonder why. Sonny also spoke to Johnny Taco of his father's relentless cruelty. I went backwards, I'm sorry. When Sonny was 13, his mother and some of his other siblings ran away from his father and left Sonny to the merciless cruelty of his father. But Sonny had had enough and managed to run away to try to rejoin his mother and his siblings. He took pecans from his brother-in-law's pecan tree, thrashed them himself, and sold them for enough to get a bus ticket to St. Louis where his mother was. He never saw his father again after that. At 13 years old, he never saw his father again. Terrell Cameron in the building. What's up, Terrell Cameron? How are you today? Good to see you. Terrell Cameron is back. Salute, Terrell. We're talking about Sonny Liston and Jack Johnson. Sonny right now. I don't know who had the rougher life. Sonny by far. Yeah. Like I said, Jack Johnson, that's like life was like a walk in the park compared to Sonny's, man. Sonny had to pull the plow and he whipped Sonny, but he didn't whip the mule. Damn. And Sonny's got those scars. He was like 13 years old and up in his 30s. They were so bad they still starkly defined in his back, right? Now, yeah, he got enough money to get a bus ticket to join his mother in St. Louis. But the 13-year-old Sonny did not know where to find his mother in St. Louis. And he did not have a place to stay, food to eat, or money to live on while he searched for his mother. All he would say later in life was, I didn't know where my mother and sisters were. And it took me a while to find someone who knew them. I learned to fight real fast. They will sure hurt boys if you can't fight. I was real lucky in how strong I was at that time. Now, he did find his mother. After he found his family, Sonny, who had never been to school and who was ashamed to start because he could neither read nor write, at first tried to go to school, but was driven out by other children making fun of the strong, quiet boy who didn't even know his ABCs. Sonny said about that experience, being made fun of in school because I hadn't been taught to read or write hurt worse than any beating I ever took in the boxing ring. Yeah, that mental beating is the worst, man. You know, because that physical beat, like you break a leg or an arm, that's going to heal. But those mental beatings, sometimes you carry them for the rest of your life. You know, you can get beat up mentally at 12 years old and hold that till you in your 60s. You know, some people say some cruel stuff to you. Yeah, those mental beatings are the worst kind, for sure. Yeah, Sonny said those kids teasing him because he couldn't read or write hurt him worse than any beating he ever took in the boxing ring. Work being difficult to find, Sonny took to the streets. So according to police records, Sonny had led a gang of thugs who committed various crimes, including muggings and armed robberies. Now, because he wore a distinctive yellow shirt during his crime spree, the St. Louis police called Sonny the Yellow Shirt Bandit. Yeah, Sonny, you should have got a different shirt, man. Yellow is noticeable. You'd be like, describe the guy who robbed you. Oh, he had a yellow shirt on. Come on, Sonny. I thought you was better than that, man. Yeah, the police started calling him the Yellow Shirt Bandit, right? Okay. So when he got caught in January 1950, Sonny gave his age as 20, while the St. Louis Globe Democrat reported that he was 22. Some reports say he was in his 30s by then. Now, the prison doctor confirmed his age as 22 in 1950. using his teeth to determine age. First time in his life, he had 3 meals a day was when he was in prison, right? That's what Sonny said. First time I ate 3 times a day was when I was in prison. Now, Sonny was convicted of robbery and sentenced to 5 years in the Missouri State Penitentiary, where he began his prison sentence on June 1st, 1950. Now, Liston never complained about prison, saying, I had 3 meals every day for the first time in my life. Now, the mean of the prison bed, a thin pad on Brooklyn Springs, was better than anything Sonny had ever slept in his life. That food Sonny would praise was so bad after he left the penitentiary, the inmates rioted over it. But it was good to Sonny. It was the best he ever had. The other inmates claimed it wasn't fit for a dog to eat. But it's just that was the best Sonny had ever had in his life. Now, Sonny was so feared in prison, hardened murderers gave him a wide berth. And it was a story. I got this one from Bruce Gass that in the prison, some of the melanated inmates were getting picked on, right? So Sonny went to another gang leader and told him, this has to stop, harassing his people and everything, right? So I think it went like this. Sonny, it was a place in the bowels of the prison where you could fight it. All prisons got that, right? Where the inmates could go and fight, let them go down there and fight freely. So Sonny and 2 other gang leaders went down in this area to fight. And Sonny was the only one that walked out. I think the other 2 gang leaders got carried out. Right? Yeah. And this was from a very reliable guy that actually knew Sonny. That, told Bruce Gass. Bruce Gass sent me a link. He had interviewed this guy on his show. This guy knew Sonny, Archie Moore's daughter, all of them, man. Yeah. I can't remember his name. But yeah. I had got a lot of stuff when I did that Sonny Liston profile. Bruce gave me so much I had to redo the whole thing from what I had written down for it. After Bruce gave me that link, I had to redo the whole profile, man. Yeah. Appreciate Bruce Gass, though. Define Arnie 1 in the building. What's up, Define Arnie 1? Good to see you again today, bro. We talking about Sonny Liston today. Okay? It was Mike Tyson, Jack Johnson, and Sonny Liston, but Sonny is the we were talking about who had the heart of life, Sonny or Jack Johnson. Is Sonny by far. Now, yeah, Sonny was so feared in prison, hardened murderers gave him a wide berth. Nobody wanted no part of Sonny Liston. Now, when Sonny was returned to prison for 2 years after breaking a policeman's knee, when he picked him up after being harassed one time too many, Sonny said of going back, so what? It ain't that bad. Sonny was denied ranking and a title shot when he had done nothing wrong but refused to kowtow to the man. After Ali's first victory over Sonny, a Washington Star article remarked, thank God we don't have to acknowledge Sonny Liston anymore. After the second defeat to Ali, a concerted, unethical, and illicit effort by boxing officials was made to unrank Sonny, keep Sonny Liston from fighting again in the United States, and absolutely keep him away from being able to fight for the title again. Angelo Dundee said, they hated Sonny Liston, the boxing insiders. They hated Sonny Liston, and they kept him away from the title after he lost to Muhammad. That effort did not include anything so obvious as revoking Sonny's boxing license. No, for years, they certainly would not sanction or license to promote any fight which wanted to feature Sonny. Now, Sonny never ever had his license revoked. It was only suspended once in 1961 for a year, 3 years before the Ali fight, and it was reinstated on appeal in 90 days. Okay, but just because you have a license doesn't mean you can fight if no one will sanction or promote your fights. They had Sonny on that list, man. Sonny was blacklisted. So Sonny said, I went to Europe where people treated me a bit kinder. When Sonny was ready to resume his career, he found, to his sad surprise, that he had been immediately unranked after his Ali defeat. And no one would sanction any fight in the United States against a contender, and no one would promote a fight for him anywhere. It took a fighter who had dodged him in his career, Ingemar Johansson, to get Sonny a fight. Yeah, Ingemar straight up said he wasn't fighting Sonny. They asked Ingemar, would he fight Sonny? Ingemar said, no, I will promote a fight for Sonny, but I will not fight him. Don't get it twisted. I will promote for him. I will not fight him. Ingemar wasn't no shame. He wasn't getting in there with Sonny. And neither was Henry Cooper. Henry Cooper said it too. No, I ain't doing that. Sonny's return fight, 14 months after he fought Ali, was against German fighter Gerhard Zach, who was 32-5 and had been in with Zora Foley, Carl Mildenberger, and Ernie Terrell. Now, Sonny, who was at least 37 years old and probably over 40 by then, probably definitely over 40, had been inactive for over a year, easily stopped Zach, right? Easily. Easy work for Sonny. Okay? Easily stopped him. So, Johansson was a Swede. He was immune to the pressure the U.S. boxing commissions and media could apply. So it promoted 4 fights featuring Sonny in Sweden. So Ingemar Johansson, who was Swedish, started letting Sonny come over there and fight because the United States wouldn't give him no play. So he promoted 4 fights for Sonny in Sweden. And this is what I was talking about. And some reporter asked Ingemar why he wouldn't fight Sonny himself. And Ingemar said, I will promote Sonny, but I will not fight him. Ingemar straight up said it. I'm not doing it. You fight him. You know. Now, 2 of those 4 fights that Ingemar arranged for Sonny were against contenders. Fights Sonny could not get in the United States. See, the fighters were willing to fight him. They came over, 2 contenders came to Sweden to fight him. But it was the promoters and the sanctioning bodies and stuff. Because 2 contenders did go over there and fight him in Sweden. Now, Sonny did not fight in the United States again until March of 1968, almost 3 years after his second fight against Ali. The Sonny was still unranked when Ali was stripped of his title in 1967, and the 8 top contenders were assembled to fight for the title, including, incredibly, among the 8 was Floyd Patterson, who Sonny had beat twice in the first round, right? Took Sonny a total of 246 seconds in 2 fights to beat this man. And Floyd Patterson was in the tournament. But you know who wasn't in it? Who was picked for the tournament, but out of respect for Ali, wouldn't compete? Smoking Joe Frazier. That's why I say Ali treated that man bad. Smoking Joe Frazier supported Ali. And when they had the tournament, Frazier was invited to be in it because he was one of the top contenders. But Frazier was like, no, I'm not getting in it because of support for Muhammad Ali. But guess what? Jimmy Ellis won the tournament and Frazier beat him after the tournament to win the title. But Frazier did not compete in the tournament out of support for Muhammad Ali. Yep, Smoking Joe himself. That's why he was so mad at Ali for so many years, like we talked about yesterday. Because what the things he did, he loaned Ali money and stuff he did in support of Ali. And then Ali was just way overboard. The way he treated Smoking Joe, man, just terrible. Yeah, it was terrible. But anyway, yeah, Patterson got in the tournament and Sonny couldn't. And like I said, 2 fights, it took Sonny a total of 246 seconds to knock Floyd Patterson out. Okay? Patterson, always a decent and honorable man. Wasn't Floyd's fault. He just going with what the powers that be said, you know? Patterson, always a decent and honorable man, protested that Sonny was not included in the field and even offered to yield his spot, but he was told. And even Floyd offered to yield his spot to Sonny, but he was told. Under no circumstances will Sonny Liston be allowed to fight in this tournament. He told Floyd, if you get out, you can get out if you want to, but Sonny ain't getting the spot. We give it to somebody else. So you might as well stay in it, right? Even after Sonny died, the establishment used him, right? No one knows when Sonny died, just as no one knows when Sonny was born. Isn't that something? Not sure about when he was born or when he died. Sonny's body was found by his wife, Geraldine, in their Las Vegas home on January 5th, 1971. And I remember Sonny's wife's name so easy because that was my mother's name, Geraldine. Yep. I will always remember Sonny Liston's wife's name. Now, the medical examiner, his wife Geraldine, found him on January 5th, 1971. Okay? Now, the medical examiner found he died at least 5 days earlier before his wife found him. The medical examiner said he was dead for at least 5 days, right? So to this day, no one knows the cause of death or even when he passed. All they know is it was at least 5 days before his wife found him then, right? Now you would think Sonny's sad death would finally end the establishment using him, but you would be wrong. The athletic director at Missouri State Penitentiary had been a priest, Father Alois Stevens, who took a liking to Sonny and suggested to him to try boxing, right? Now, Father Stevens supported Liston in making parole and brought him to the attention of boxing trainers on the outside. This is when he first got out of prison. This priest in the prison had helped him out, right? Started in boxing and then introduced him to some boxing people out when he got out of prison, right? So Liston wanted to remain close to Father Stevens and other priests he knew, like Father Edward Murphy, for the rest of his life. Now, Sonny and Geraldine had stayed with Father Edward Murphy when Sonny first moved to Denver, Colorado. And Father Murphy, another man who had become a lifelong friend of Sonny's, flew at his own expense from Denver to do Sonny's funeral mass after his death. Father Murphy said of Sonny, and he did his funeral mass. He said, "I never knew a more decent man. For all he went through in life, he never gave up, never quit trying, and never felt sorry for himself." And when he returned home to Denver, Father Murphy cried for an hour before he could compose himself enough to tell other priests who had known and befriended Sonny about his funeral. Father Murphy said, "They had the funeral procession down the strip. Can you imagine that? People came out of the hotels to watch him pass. They stopped everything. They used him all his life. They were still using him on his way to the cemetery. There he was, another Las Vegas show. God help us. Yeah, they took this man's body down the Las Vegas Strip on the way to burying him, man. That was crazy." Both Jack Johnson and Sonny Liston had hard lives, okay? But there is little doubt that Liston had the harder one. There you have it. Tyson, Liston, and Johnson. Dominance and controversy. Tyson, Liston, and Johnson. Dominance and controversy. Hope you enjoyed that. Tomorrow is I think it was the mob too, Terrell. Yeah. Everybody think it was the mob, but most people are scared to say that, But yeah, of course it was the mob. They said that somebody came in and cleaned up and tried to hide drugs, but the first thing the police found was a pill of a capsule of heroin on the counter. How you gonna hide some drugs and leave that right on the counter? Come on, man. It was all a setup. Wouldn't that be the first thing you hide? Right on the counter, but somebody tried to clean up and hide stuff. Yeah. Okay. I got something about the excuse me. I was eating a piece of candy. I got something about the Mike Tyson situation, the trial. It's called the Mike Tyson case. It's not that long. Let's look at that briefly. This is not just Sonny, but Sonny got the bigger part of it. Sonny was the most colorful of the three, I would say. There's Mike on his way to the trial right there, out there. The young Mike Tyson. Mm-hmm. Still hadn't shaved his head bald yet or nothing. Mm-hmm. Hairline easing back a little bit on the sides though, but hey. But yeah, he was on the way to the trial there. Let's look at that. We still got a little time. The Mike Tyson case. Man. Small ass letters. This was in 1992. Okay. Now, anybody coming? Okay. Now, Michael G. Tyson, world heavyweight boxing champion from 1986 to 1990, was prosecuted in Indianapolis in 1992 in one of the most highly publicized trials in the city's history. Let me take a drink. I haven't taken a drink of water the entire show. Thank y'all. That was good. Ain't nothing like some cold H2O, man. Nothing. Okay, nothing. Now, yeah, it was the most publicized trial in the city's history, right? Tyson, who at 20 years of age, was the youngest person ever to win a world heavyweight boxing title, still is. He was a guest celebrity at Indiana. It was called the Indiana Black Expo in Indianapolis in July 1991, right? Excuse me. He was invited to visit a rehearsal of the 1991 Miss Black America pageant, which was being conducted in the city at the same time as this other event that he went there for. He wasn't there for the pageant, but the pageant was going on at the same time, so he was invited to visit that, right? So Tyson went to the rehearsal on July 18th, right, of that year, 91. He made a promotional tape with the 23 contestants and was thereafter charged with raping one of the contestants who met him at the rehearsal and was with him in his hotel room later that night. Okay, they met at the rehearsal. First time she ever met the man, you in his hotel room that night. Something is very wrong with that picture. But let's continue. Excuse me. Okay. Now the charges were prosecuted by a team led by J. Gregory Garrison, a former Marion County deputy prosecutor who was employed as a special prosecutor for the case. It was a stacked deck all the way. We tell you, listen to the people that are prosecuting him and the judge, man. Tyson's defense was led by Vincent L. Fuller, an attorney from Washington, D.C., who had successfully defended John W. Hinckley Jr. in 1982 with a plea of insanity in Hinckley's trial for the attempted assassination of President Ronald Reagan, and the fool missed. I was so mad at him when that. Oh, excuse me. The rape allegations were initially submitted to a Marion County grand jury for consideration on August 16, 1991. Now, during the following 2 weeks, Tyson's accuser and several of the other contestants that was in the beauty pageant testified before the grand jury. On August 30th, the defense team then took the very unusual step of having Tyson appear voluntarily as a witness in an effort to persuade the grand jury not to return an indictment. And every lawyer that was looking at how they had the lawyers and stuff commentating on TV, everybody said that was a huge mistake to put Tyson up there, man. What was they thinking? He had terrible lawyers. And Don King got him for him, okay? Yeah, so Tyson got on the stand and testified, right? Now the effort failed, right? Because the grand jury indicted Tyson by a 5-1 vote. And the girl don't look all that good. I should have put this picture in there. She looked like she like 5'8", weighed like 60 pounds. Who the hell would rape her? Damn. Yeah, she don't look like shit. Now on January 27, 1992, the criminal trial began. Now listen to this judge. Before Judge Patricia Gifford, a former Marion County deputy prosecutor who specialized in prosecuting rape charges. That's the damn judge, a former prosecutor who specialized in rape charges. So Mike was going up against a stacked deck. I wouldn't have wanted that judge. As a prosecutor, she specialized in prosecuting rape cases. So she knows, she already got a negative image of Mike already coming in there, man. Let me calm down, but that's crazy. He was clearly railroaded, man. clearly railroaded. A good lawyer would have tried to get that thing moved or something. Not that judge. And they had a good case. He specialized in prosecuting rape cases when she was a prosecutor. No, we don't want her. She's biased. But his lawyer was terrible. So this judge presided over the case. Okay, let's continue. Okay, now, they were, I was mad about the judge. Mike Wim says, oh shoot, I got this stuff all in the way. I can't even see you. Oh, there we go. Mike said, and why was Mike lawyer? I'm like, man, why you go over his house at 2:00 in the morning in your panties? They didn't ask her none of those questions, Mike. First thing they should have did was got him moved away from that judge did. If they could have, the lawyer should have at least tried. That's a bad look. You got a lawyer, a former prosecutor that specialized in prosecuting rape cases, putting people that she convicted of rape in jail. And now she's going to preside over my rape case? Shit. Ain't no way. But his law team was terrible, man. All the lawyers that was commentating on it said it at the time. But anyway, this judge was prosecuted over the case. Over 100 news organizations from around the world submitted requests to send reporters to cover this trial. Now, since the courtroom could seat only 50 spectators, the judge obtained a special order from the Indiana Supreme Court to allow reporters to view the trial over closed-circuit television. I remember that, yeah. They was in like another room in the courthouse, right? Looking at it. I remember that. Mm-hmm. Now, because of the intense publicity concerning the trial, Judge Gifford sequestered the jury in the Indianapolis Athletic Club. On February 4th, a fire broke out in the athletic club during the night, apparently from faulty wiring in a refrigerator. 2 firefighters and a guest at the club died in the fire, but all of the jurors were escorted safely from the building. Wow. That was a warning to them jurors. Y'all better not find me guilty. Now let me stop. Okay. Now the trial ended after 13 days, which included testimony by 16 of the pageant contestants. Among them, Tyson's accuser, and by Tyson, who testified in his own defense. They put him up there on the trial, on the stand again. Mm-hmm. After nearly 10 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict of guilty as charged. Tyson was sentenced to serve 6 years in prison, to be followed by 4 years on probation. He served his time at the Indiana Youth Center, the Plainfield Correctional. It's now the Plainfield Correctional Center. Why was he at a youth center? He was over 21 by then. If he was 20 and 80, when he won that title, 86 or something. He was like, about 25, 26. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, yeah, served at the Indiana Youth Center. Now it's the Plainfield Correctional Center. Okay. After the trial, Tyson employed Alan L. Dershowitz, a noted Harvard law professor, to appeal his conviction. He should have had Dershowitz at first. He might have beat that thing. Dershowitz was part of the OJ team, remember? The Dream Team, remember? Tyson, this was after a little way. Was that after or before that OJ? It was after that, wasn't it? But Tyson should have had Dershowitz at first. He might have beat that. He got him to appeal the conviction. It's hard to, it's harder to beat them appeals, once you've been convicted. He should have had Dershowitz at first. Dershowitz and his brother, Nathan, argued the appeal before the Indiana Court of Appeals on February 15th, 1993. This court, in a 2-1 decision, affirmed the conviction on August 13th, 1993. They did get one judge. They fell 1 vote short. So that tells me they could have won that in the regular case. They convinced 1 judge, on appeal. So yeah, they would have got rid of that. Dershowitz would have got that out of that judge's hands that did it. That former rape prosecutor, Dershowitz would have got that out of there. I don't know why Mike didn't have him at first. Maybe he didn't know about him and learned about him when it became time for the appeal or something like that, I guess. But they affirmed the conviction on August 13th, 1993. On September 22nd, 1993, the Indiana Supreme Court in a 2-2 decision decided not to review the decision of the Court of Appeals. Take it all the way to the Supreme Court, Mike. The 2-2 decision was made possible because the Chief Justice of the court disqualified himself from participation after his wife and Dershowitz inadvertently discussed the appeal at a Yale Law School alumni reunion. But they did get another judge on their side in the second appeal. So they would have won that case. They would have won that case. In the appeal, they got 2 judges to side with them in 2 appeals, right? 1 each time. And the U.S. Supreme Court refused, he did try. The U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear a subsequent appeal. The Supreme Court didn't take it up. Okay. Tyson, that's it. After the Supreme Court, you're gone. You're going on to the big house. Ain't nowhere further to appeal it, right? To the man upstairs, but you can't do that until you know what's got to happen first, right? But anyway, the U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear a subsequent appeal. Tyson was released from prison in 1995. Okay, and that was it. Mike Tyson. Yeah, they railroaded that man from the judge all the way down, man. A former rape prosecutor, man. And you on trial for rape? You got a female judge that's a former rape prosecutor, putting people in jail for rape. That's your judge. He should have had Dershowitz at first, man. He would have got him off. Dershowitz they got 1 judge on each of the appeals to side with them. Yeah, they would have got them jurors. It's hard to get them judges on them appeals, man. They got 1 each time. But he had the wrong law team. But maybe he didn't know about Dershowitz at first or something. I don't know. Dershowitz was part of the OJ Dream Team, wasn't he? Him and Barry Shank. Barry was the DNA guy. Barry was a bad boy. Wasn't that his name? If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. The late, great Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran started out on TV commentating on OJ's trial. Next thing you know, he was in the courtroom part of the Dream Team. He had, wasn't the Kardashians' father part of his team? I think. And Robert Shapiro, the Dream Team. And then that dummy went to jail for something else. OJ was a dummy, man. OJ should have never even came outside again after he beat that case because he knew they was out to get him, man. They stole his own stuff and set him up to steal it back, run up in that room to get it back. He set him up. Ain't no way he should have got all that time for what he did, man, but that was for that murder. If I was OJ, I would never came outside again in life. I know they was after me, and they got him. They got him. Yeah, they got OJ. After he beat that murder case, man, he knew they was after him. People was mad. Man. What, he got off after he killed them? He did it. Yes, he did it. But Johnny Cochran said, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. Okay, tomorrow is boxing in the States, Tennessee. Yeah, wouldn't you, Tim? I would never come outside again in life. They would have brought me out to take me to my grave. That'd been the next time I come out because they wanted OJ and they set him up. They stole the stuff and then set him up to come over there and get it back. Let him know where it was at and everything. Set the people to tell him where it was at. And some of the same people that broke up in there with him to get it testified against him. They was the ones paid to steal it. And then let him know where it was at, right? And OJ fell for it. He fell for the okie doke, man. The okie doke move. They put the okie doke on OJ, man. They paid them guys to steal it. Now go back, tell them where it's at. Then bring him over here. And then they went to court and testified against him. What did he get, 13 years? That was like a 18 months maybe at the most what he did, for that crime, man. And it was his own things. How can you steal your own stuff? All it did was bum rush up into the place. He had a gun, maybe 5 years, with a few suspended, but not no 13 years. That was for the murder. But OJ was dumb. Like Tim said, I would have been in the house. But yeah, like I said, we doing it again, y'all. Check this out.
Hey, we're doing another 50-50 raffle. Yes, indeedy. Someone is going to be able to walk away with the Easter basket. That's right. We're doing the drawing on Easter morning. Yes, indeedy. And some lucky person is going to be able to get that bag. How do you get that bag? You send $10 to Cash App, JBT Network 1. Bam, and you in. Now, we still got the block special. That's right, 3 for $25. You know how you like that block special, man. Yes, indeed. It will increase your odds, just like our last winner, C. Wood, that won like $700, some odd dollars, man. Mm-hmm. But listen here, man, we appreciate you at the JBT. We're looking forward to this new 50-50, and we're looking forward to see who is going to win the Easter basket. Again, send $10 to Cash App, JBT Network 1.
Yeah, the Easter money gonna be good to somebody. Yeah, C. Wood won $730. I think it was. I had to look at it, but yeah, I believe it was $730. 4 days before Christmas, and on top of that, it was his birthday, man. It was his birthday, the day of the drawing. It was that Saturday. I think, what was Christmas, on a Wednesday or something last year? It was the man's birthday. Damn. We couldn't have wrote a script out to go any better than that, man. Well, one way it could have been better. We could have written it out. I would have won the money. But yeah, but it don't get no better than that. The man won that money 4 days before Christmas on his birthday. Wow. Wasn't that something? C. Wood. Yep. And now we're doing it again. Somebody else gonna get the money. Coming up on Easter. On Easter Day. When is it? Easter. This time going by so fast, man. Golly. Just do boxing. That's coming up next. I'm trying to find his thumbnail. I don't see it. Just do was in here. Let's see. That's not him. I'm looking at the wrong thing. We got 5 minutes. Don't forget, tomorrow, Tennessee Boxing in the States, and Friday, the profile is Sugar Shane Mosley this week. Sugar Shane. Hope y'all enjoyed the show today. Yeah, I don't see it. I'm there for just today. Okay. Oh, there we go. There it is. Okay, yeah. Today on Just Do Boxing, Tim Tszyu versus Joey Spencer. Eddie Hearn and Jake Paul, $100 million settlement. Did Haney pick the wrong guy? Today on Just Do Boxing, coming up at 4 p.m. in about 5 minutes from now. Don't forget, if you haven't hit my like on the way out. Hit Just Do Boxing's like on the way in. Remember, the old out and in. Out and in. Okay? Define Arnie 1. Terrell Cameron. Just Do Boxing. Thomas Hill. The Boxing Menu Podcast. Bruce Gass. Boy, this is some sloppy handwriting. I don't even know what that says. BBO Boxing TV. Crush the Legend. Oh my goodness. I can't even read that, man. Justin James, Tim Layton. Oh, that's Bruce Gas, Cannabis Entertainment and Education TV. Tim Layton. Justin James, Al Booger, Mike Mazik. I think I got everybody. Terrell Cameron, yeah, Boston Media Podcast Plus. Got everybody. Crush the Legend. 6 o'clock a.m. Monday through Friday. Got BVO, 8 o'clock. Tonight, the Sports Talk Network and the gang. BVO, Crush the Legend again. Thomas Hill, D Free, Prize Fighter, 8 p.m. tonight. Okay? But now, in 5 minutes, Just Do Boxing. So let me get out of here. Because when Just Do Boxing come on, ain't nobody going to be in here no way. I'm going to be over there too. I'm not staying here by myself. Okay? But tomorrow is boxing in the States, Tennessee. And I'll see y'all tomorrow, because if it's Monday through Friday at 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all of that boxing history. Just Do Boxing straight ahead. This is Cass Sports. Everybody have a great afternoon. And I will see y'all around those JBT streets.